All right, so cool. This is going to go ahead and be the easiest way to find entries, take profits, and understand the chart. Okay, so boom. Market can only go one of two ways, which is why trading is going to be very, very easy. So we already know this. Market can go in an upward direction, or market could go in a downward direction. Okay, and market is based upon two things. When market decides to come out and top out at a point and then trickle downward, okay, that's going to signify an area of resistance. So resistance is an area where price decides to fall downward from and sellers step in. Okay? So whenever you see market decide to top out and then deciding to fall downward, that's going to mean that sellers have stepped in from that area. And there's no more buying coming in. Okay? Now, that's going to go ahead and be resistance. And there's going to be something opposite of resistance. Okay? Once again, the market can only go one of two ways. So after market decides to bottom out now and go in an upward direction, right? Just as we see here, market decided to come in contact with the yellow and then trickle upward. As we can see right here, market came in contact after falling down from the top of this yellow line. Market decided to fall all the way down to the bottom of this yellow line right here. And then we finally started seeing some buying here. Market's like, yay, I'm done falling down. And you finally started seeing some buying. That's going to signify the opposite of resistance, which is going to be support. So, what support is going to go ahead and be, support is an area where price decides to bounce upward from and buyers step in. Okay? So, we know that right here, that support is going to be an area where buyers step in and market decides to start trickling upward. And we can signify from the top of the yellow line that when market decides to start trickling downward and make a top out, that's going to signify an area of resistance. And then sellers step in. Okay, so now we know what the infamous support and resistance means. Okay, so whenever you do see an area of support and resistance, right, an area of support and resistance is going to signify what's called a range. So, marking the top of a resistance and support is called a range. Okay? So the top of this resistance and the bottom of this support, between where prices decide to bounce and do its two things, that's going to be called the range. Okay? So this is the range. And we can make trading very, very easy for ourselves. Okay? So, because what a lot of people don't realize, price is not going to sit here. Once again, this is the range. Price shorted here and price bought here, correct? Market has to make progress. Market is not just going to sit here, bouncing from these two places up and down forever. It's not going to do that. Okay? It's just not going to do that. Eventually, market is going to try and break out from a side. So let's talk about that. Let's say if market decides to break out of the support side. So let's talk about what a breakout is. So as we can see, we do have this area of support right here. This is an area of support because price decided to bounce upward from here and buyer stepped in. Okay? If I were to go to indicators, go to my volume, turn on volume down here, I would see heavy green step in once price came in contact with right here. Okay? So I'm seeing heavy green come in once price comes in contact right here. And then green steps in. It goes from red, slows down, buying steps in, and then green. Boom. Okay? So, and same thing up here. right? When price decided to short, right? If I look right here, heavy down at the volume, I see price went from green to just low red, and then price decided to short, okay? And then stay red. All right? So I'm able to see that using my volume, okay? So whenever price decides to break past an area of support or resistance, that's going to be called a breakout. So whenever market decides to break past an area of support or resistance, that is going to be called a breakout. Okay? So market breaking out of an area of support or resistance is going to be called a breakout. All right? So cool. So now that we know this, okay, so this would go ahead and bring a breakout right here. If market decided to break out of the downside, say if price decided to not bounce from here at this yellow line anymore, okay, if market were to go ahead and break underneath this yellow line where price bounced upward, then that would signify a breakout. Okay? So this is a breakout right here. Okay? After price breaks out, market works in a methodical way. So, in this short case, okay, after a strong area of support gets broken, it should turn into resistance. This is because support turns into resistance. So I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of this. So support turns into resistance. So as you can go ahead and see here, if I were to zoom in, put a line on this, right? You see the support right here, correct? Let me turn off this volume. Actually, I'll keep on volume. All right, it's fine. All right, so cool. So I turn on the volume here. As we can go ahead and see here, heavy buying, right? So heavy buying right here from this green, right? On this yellow line. Let's go and let's make it purple or pink. Guess what happens over here to the right? Ooh, support turned into... Exactly. So here, we can go ahead and signify that support turns into resistance. All right. So support turns into resistance. Okay? So this is how your short trade should be looking. So all we're doing to find a short trade all you have to do is see, oh, my bad. See where price decided to bounce upward at and make support. Wait for that support to be broken. And wait for support to turn into resistance. All right. So all we're doing is we're waiting for an area of support to be broken. After that area of support gets broken, we're going to just wait for that price and that area to turn itself into resistance. Okay? So that's all we're waiting for in order to find a short trade. Is you're waiting for an area of support to be broken, and you're waiting for support to turn into resistance, and then we're going to get in and take that back down. Okay? All right. So that's going to go ahead and be that. And same thing, vice versa, right? Vice versa if market is going to go ahead and long, right? So I'm going to show you an example here. See how price decided to create this area of resistance right here, right? Okay. So this is going to be an area of resistance because market decided to top out from here. So resistance because market decided to top out from here. Okay. So this is going to signify an area of resistance. Okay. And what can we concur from this? So if support turns into resistance, we can concur that resistance turns into support. So as we can see here, break of resistance over here turned into support. So in order to find a long trade, you will be waiting for a break of resistance. Then you're going to be waiting for resistance to turn into support. Okay? Into support. And then support turns into exactly. So support turns into resistance. That's what we can concur from over here. And then what we can confirm over here is that resistance turns into support. Exactly. So if support turns into resistance, then resistance turns into support. As we can see, this does work. Support, resistance, okay? And then resistance, support. Very, very simple. Very, very easy. Very, very clean. All right? So if I were to go ahead and see market decided to make it an area of support right here, right? All I would do, this is going to be the easiest way to find entries, right? The easiest way to find entries from now on. This is all we're going to go ahead and do, okay? We're just going to go on our 30-minute time frame, right? Just go on the 30 minutes, okay? So to find entries, start on the 30-minute time frame. Okay, you can use the 30-minute. You can use the 1 hour. 1 hour is going to be pretty clean as well. But yeah, I like the 30-minute, but you could use the 1 hour too. Okay? Then you're going to look for an area of resistance, right? Look for an area of resistance above current price. Okay? So then look for an area of resistance above current price that has strong support with it. This will be our long entry. Okay? So to find entries, we're going to start on the 30-minute. And first thing we're going to do is look for an area of resistance above current price. Current price is going to always be to the right on TradingView, okay, with the dotted line. So current price right here is 250.02. Then I'm going to look for an area of resistance, right? Resistance is going to be an area where market decided to sell at, okay? So look for an area of resistance, an area where market decides to sell at above current price that has some strong support with it, okay? Because support turns to resistance, okay? So we have to verify why the resistance is there, okay? So don't try not to trade resistances unless price is at like all-time highs. Try not to trade resistances or supports without the support of each other. So without the opposite of each other. Okay? So if you put an area of resistance down, right? Say I put this area of resistance down right here, right? Right here, correct? Immediately, what do I see to my left? Exactly. So I should be seeing areas of support and resistance within the same line. Okay? So this area of resistance is strong, not only because did price fall heavily from here, but it also has support to verify why the resistance area was so strong. So, to find a long trade, wait for the resistance to be broken, then wait for a pullback, and wait for resistance to turn into support. All right. All right, so the area of resistance is not only strong because price fell heavily from right here, right? So price fell heavily from this area of resistance right here. But the reason why this resistance is also so strong is because to the left right here, we have support. So support turned into resistance. Exactly. Do I lie? Exactly. Boom. So we're going to start working on those losses. So we're going to be taking less trades, okay? And great risk management. Fantastic risk management. Because we're going to start flipping our account every single trade. Okay? We're just going to start taking break and retest and applying it to just bigger trades now. Okay? So boom. All we have to do, and all we're using is our 30-minute. The 30-minute actually shows you a lot of price action. You can see around like 5 months worth of price action on the 30-minute on one screen if you have a decent sized monitor. So yeah, you can see about 5 months. So this is a strong resistance here. Price hasn't been here since about the second. So this is outside of the weekly candle. So we're going to wait for that to get broken. And then inshallah, if God wills, resistance to turn into support. Exactly. And market's going to be set up like the same way on the same chart. So if I go to the 30-minute, right, and I just click on Dell, a lot of the times it's going to be set up similarly. All right. So yeah, a lot of the time market might just be set up similarly for you. And it's just about taking whichever one is cheapest cons, whichever one you want, and yeah. So boom. So I'm going to be waiting for this area of resistance to turn itself as a support. So to find a long trade, wait for resistance to be broken, then wait for price to go ahead and pull back, turn resistance into support, and then take it back up. Okay? Now, to find a take profit, let's go ahead and let's put these two things into perspective. So to find a take profit, understand that resistance turns into support. So if you're shorting, your take profit should be at an area of resistance because you want to get out before market decides to bounce and before buyers step in. Okay? So if you're shorting, you want to be closing at an area of resistance because resistance turns into support. And that's going to be when buyers step in, which is when support comes in. Okay? So, but if you're shorting, support turns into resistance. I mean, if you're longing. So if you're longing, support turns into resistance. So if you're longing, your take profit should be at an area of support because you want to get out before market decides to dump and sellers step in. Okay? So boom. So talking about this here, let's go and let's get into this. So boom. After market decides to go ahead and break this area of resistance, right, we would be expecting a pullback, inshallah, if God wills. And let's go and let's find a take profit. So to find a take profit, You can use like your 4 hour, your 1 hour. Things will vary. I like to use like the 4 hour or something like that. So I'm gonna just find my entry here. Here's my entry line, right? Lock it down. After this, I'm gonna go ahead and find my take profit. So my take profit's gonna be at an area of support. So it's gonna be at an area of support. So I kind of like this area of support right here. Why? Because I see some resistance near it. Support turned into. Exactly. So I'm a big fan of this area of support for first TP. And this is around 5 points. So I like this. So cool. So I'm going to wait for price to get past this little area right here of resistance. Wait for price to pull back down. And then, inshallah, if God wills, I'm going to be able to go ahead and take this back up. Okay? So I'm going to wait for this area of resistance to be broken. And then turn resistance into. Exactly. And then this will go ahead and be our entry. Waiting for resistance to turn into support to take it back up. All right. Okay, so boom. Break and retest. All I'm doing is waiting for it to break and retest, waiting for resistance to turn into support, and then I'll take it back up to the next area. Okay? So now I'm going to come over here to my left, go down to this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth position tool down. We'll do the long position since this is the long, and let's go and let's find a stop loss. So in order to find stop loss, I'll just put my take profit here, and your stop loss can just be at an area of support. So if you're longing, your stop loss can be at an area of support. Okay. So for long trades, your stop loss can be support near your entry. Can be some support near your entry. So, yeah. So I would just find some good support here. Let's see. Make sure the risk reward is still good. Okay, I kind of like this down here. See how this support has resistance? Always try and look for support and resistance near each other. See how resistance turned into support? Always try and look for areas where there's resistance. Always try and mark levels with support and resistance on the same lines. Those signify key levels. Okay? So areas with support and resistance on the same lines are going to be key levels. Okay? So as you can see here, you see the resistance. Resistance turns into. Exactly. So boom. So that's going to go ahead and be that. So that's why this trade is also so good. And yeah, so that's why that take profit. Yeah, or that stop loss is going to be clean too. So stop loss down here, because we do have resistance. Support was already made. So if price doesn't bounce at this resistance or this resistance, that's GG's. Okay? And we're playing for a 1 to 3 right here. Try and play for at least a 1 to 3, 1 to 2 point risk reward ratio minimum. Try to play for at least a 1 to 3 risk to reward trade. Inshallah. And the only thing I did was just use my 30-minute, zoom out, look at, okay, where did price top out at? Okay, price shorted right here. Is there some support near it? Yeah. Okay, cool. That's my long. And all I would do for my short is be like, okay, let me zoom out. Let me go on my 30-minute. Where did price bounce at? Okay, it bounced right here. Cool. That's my entry for my short. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I found the top of the range, and now I'm finding the bottom of the range on the 30-minute, okay? So that's all I'm doing. I'm on the 30-minute. I'm looking to see, okay, where the price short heavily at with support that verifies it. Okay, where the price bounce heavily at with resistance that verifies it. So let's see if there's resistance at this support. Cool. Resistance right here. Okay. Also some resistance kind of right here. Let's go to my 4 hour here. Looks like we're out of candles. Okay, I see some support right here as well and resistance. So yeah, this is the strong level. I see why prices decided to stop here. Strong support right here. Strong support right here. Strong resistance right here. Okay? Key level. So, now, if I'm looking for a short, my take profit would be an area of resistance. Okay? So if I'm looking to short, my take profit's going to go ahead and be an area of resistance. So I would maybe put it right here. And I can use my 4 hour time frame here. And remember, we're going to be looking for areas with resistance and support near each other. So you see how this area of resistance right here, right? Resistance turned into... Exactly. So resistance turned into some support. And then there's also some more resistance right here too. So I like this resistance take profit a lot. Cool. And then for my resistance take profit, I could just do this. Short tool. And my stop loss would be on top of a resistance. Okay? So I see this area of resistance like over here. These two over here above the yellow line. Actually, I'll make it purple. Purple for my short. So above here. So I could go ahead and put a stop loss right there. Let me go ahead and make stop losses red. Cool. Because price should be trying to stop there. Boom. Okay, I have a smaller one. There we go. There we go. There we go. Boom, 1 to 3.5 right here. We go ahead and short, wait for this area of support right here to be broken, right? So if I'm looking to short, okay, my take profit would be at an area of resistance. And if I'm looking to short, I'm waiting for an area of support to be broken. Then I'm waiting for price to pull back up and turn itself into resistance. So once again, support turns into resistance and resistance turns into support. Exactly. So if I was looking for a downside trade here, all I would do is wait for price to come down here, wait for price to break down, pull back up to the entry, and then take it back down. So just like I showed you guys in the beginning, support turns into resistance, and resistance turns into support. Okay? You can always enter on the 1 minute, no matter what. Yeah, just because you want to see everything the closest. Yep. So always entries on the 1 minute. Now, you can just go to literally completely fresh chart. Let's say I was on arm and hammer, for example, right? Boom. Arm, I would just go to my 30-minute, zoom out, look what's in front of me. Okay, where the price most long at? Right here. Boom. This would be my area of support. Okay? This would be my area of support because price decided to long from here. Okay? And now I would go ahead and just find my area of resistance with support near it. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out, look for my area of resistance with support. Cool. Check this out. Resistance, support, support, support. Okay. And this is going to go ahead and be resistance, because price decided to short from here. resistance because, yep, exactly. And this would be the short. Exactly. Exactly. So, after this, what we can go ahead and do is find our take profits. So after this, we'll find a take profit for the upside. I'm going to, since it's an upside trade, my take profit is going to be an area of support. Okay, so I would probably just put it up here. Yep. You can use the 4 hour, the 1 hour. Yeah, 4 hour or 1 hour for take profits. And then you see how there's support right here. See how there's support right here. Once this support got broken, guess what it did? Yep, broke, and then exactly, and then it came down. All right, let me see if there's an even closer entry here in the 5 minute. This is why we enter on our smaller time frames here, because you can't see things that you need to see on your bigger ones, sadly. Because you can see here, the entry here. You see this entry at 10:15. You see how you can't see that on your 30 minute? Then this is just the 5 minute. On the 1 minute, you'll see the exact wick. So as soon as price breaks down, wicks back up, you take that bitch right back down. Exactly. 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 And these are key levels. You're only playing key levels from now on, okay? You don't have to play all up in between this. This is where people just lose bread. You can literally just play the last week and bottom week of pretty much the tops and bottoms that you're selecting are pretty much like the weekly tops and bottoms. So, but yeah, but the 30 minute is just a quick way to see it. Everything on your screen and just wait for these and watch your win rate skyrocket. Trust me, inshallah. Just be patient, wait for these levels to come, make sure there's support and resistance verified with each other, and then watch your win rate increase. Inshallah. Trust me. Trust me. So here for a take profit, the reason I said it right here is because of this area of support right here. And I like the area of support right here turning into resistance right here. So that's why this is my take profit for right here. Okay, so that's going to go ahead and be my upside. So that's my upside trade, and here's my downside trade because price longed like a million points from here. So I don't even have to do work to find a downside trade. Price already long from here. This is the downside. Okay, so boom. We don't even have to do work. And guess what's next to it? Exactly, resistance turns into... Exactly. Do I lie? Exactly. It's just about us playing these key areas. We're just going to get better about only playing key areas, all right? I don't care if we have to wait because the more bread we're not losing in our accounts, the more setups we're going to be winning. And we're going to be winning bigger trades now, okay? So, boom. So, resistance turns into support. And support turns into resistance. I truly do try and make it as easy as possible. So boom, that's why price decided to bounce from here. So if price were to go ahead and break and retest under here, our take profit would be at an area of resistance, not support. So take profit resistance right here would probably be safe. Why? Because price decided to short down from here. And then I also see some more resistance right here. And I'm just a big fan. And I believe price probably broke a retest right here and then launched up. So I like this as the take profit. Okay? Cool. So I found my downside and I found my upside trade. All right, now let me go ahead and find a stop loss for both of these. So for my upside trade, I can go to my 1 hour here, put on my long position tool. So what I'm waiting for here is I'm waiting for price to get above this yellow line, wait for it to get well above it, pull back down, hold it as support, and then get in and take it up. Stop loss could be at an area of support. It could be a stop loss like right here at this wick maybe. Yeah. Yep. And then for the yeah, and then for the shorts, stop loss at resistance. And then boom, stop loss right there. And then you can go ahead and potentially take this up very, very easily. And then let's go and let's do our downside. So for downside, we'll go ahead and short, take profit right here. And the reason why we have to use our higher time frames are really just for downside trades because we can't see the bottomless pit. And then stop loss, can maybe do stop loss like right here, honestly, at this resistance up here if you wanted to. Because like it should be going. Yeah, you could either do that. Let's get on the 1 hour. See if there's something else. 30-minute or 5-minute. Kind of want it to be a bit bigger than that. Sometimes it can be support too. Your stop loss can definitely be support or the opposite of it too if you don't have a resistance candle. So if I see a support candle up here, this can also be my stop loss. So yeah, just to give it some room because support turns into exactly. And same thing for a long trade, your stop loss could also be resistance too if there's not some niche support near it because there's not that much structure and price action right here. So that's why. Okay. All right, cool. So how do we feel about marking out a setup? Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here. This is how to easily identify charts, mark out a short and a long, and catch your trades. And cool. If you guys are looking for a cryptocurrency broker where you guys can trade crypto futures, altcoins, and meme coins, I recommend you guys head over to bitunix.com. You guys can either buy crypto straight up and buy your favorite coins using your card, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, XRP, etc. You guys also have the ability to trade futures as well, where you guys can either long or short cryptos such as Bitcoin, or even trade altcoins and meme coins such as Gala USDT. So you guys have a huge variety of what you guys want to trade, and the fees are pretty low as well. On bitunix.com, they also do give you guys a welcome bonus as well, where you guys can complete some very easy steps and get some free capital which you guys can trade with. There's also tons of trading competitions that go on that you guys can earn some capital to trade from too, and you can compete against your buddies. So if you guys are looking for a new crypto broker with low fees, fast transactions, and fast withdrawals, I'd head over to bitunix.com. Link in description below. Peace.